See, Drewski and Odell Beckham Jr. had a problem. If you don't know who they are, Drewski is a comedian, Odell Beckham Jr., football player. Anyway, they were both named in a court document along with Diddy. That's already bad, but well, it gets worse. In the court document, it says that both of them, along with Diddy, did terrible things to a woman at Diddy's house. Now, people are already saying Drewski guilty because he seemed to be associated with Diddy in the past, shooting videos and all that. Odell Beckham Jr. also seen with Diddy in the past.
I'm back, FITTI, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. If you like the video, remember to like the video. Let's try to get to over 2,000 likes this video. These are the winners of the riddle on my previous video. I didn't make one for the last video because I uploaded that one before the other one uploaded. So today's riddle is, what is yours but mostly used by others? If you know, put it in the comments, and as y'all know, you will get a video shout out if you get it right. And as y'all know, these videos do get intense, so make sure to watch at your own risk, and remember to subscribe. I feel like robots learning how to fight is the last thing we want right now.
Donald Trump has warned that America's monster nuclear weapons could be deployed as soon as tomorrow. The B-83 is the most powerful weapon in the United States nuclear arsenal, capable of unleashing destruction on a scale never seen before. With a payload 75 times more powerful than the nuke detonated over Hiroshima, everybody within 210 square miles of the detonation zone would be instantly killed, and millions more would die later of radiation-related illness.
I don't know about y'all, but the last thing I want is for Trump to drop a nuclear weapon right now. That's the last thing we need, is a nuke dropped on Earth right now.
Strange videos that will creep you out. Just a couple weeks ago, a security camera in a bar in a small town in England captured something on camera that is leaving people really confused. The footage shows a man sitting at the bar talking to a few bartenders. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until you look at his drink. Seemingly out of nowhere, his drink gets pushed over, and if you watch it again in slow motion, it seems to be pushed by something. The bar in this video is over 167 years old, and the store owner claims that his restaurant's been haunted for as long as he can remember. What do you guys think? Comment below.
You won't believe how much unseen footage there is of Ruby Franke and everything she did not want us to see in Hulu's new docuseries, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke. In this new series, raw footage has been exposed that never made it on her YouTube channel. We will be hearing from her two eldest children and her husband.
Fake being happy. Okay? I don't know if I can right now.
This three-part series exposes various moments where Ruby becomes extremely abusive towards her children, forcing them to say and do things that they didn't feel comfortable with, only for the purpose of filming content for her channel. It's very unsettling, and it makes you wonder how bad it must have been at home when the cameras were off. Now, things only got worse when Ruby met Jody Hildebrand, and everything took a very dark turn. As their relationship got stronger, Ruby and Jody began believing these crazy conspiracies that the world was going to end, and that Jody was the chosen one. And they talk about it on the three-part series, Devil in the Family, The Fall of Ruby Franke, which is now out on Hulu.
Here are the craziest things to ever happen at Walmart. So one day, an 18-year-old was craving milk. So he decided to steal not one, not two, but 26 gallons of milk from Walmart. Oh, and he did this dressed as a cow. And if that doesn't sound weird enough to you, you'd be surprised to learn that even though he made himself stand out in the cow costume, he managed to not get caught on the spot. Next, on Black Friday in 2013, a customer and his son were freaking out in Walmart because they thought that his ex-wife was possessed by a demon. And so they locked her in their car and set up an exorcism in the parking lot by throwing sacred oil at her, which might have been the reason why they ended up divorcing. Also, back in 2013, a 16-year-old was going into labor, and she gave birth in a Cannon City Walmart bathroom. Now, there was panic for a moment because the baby wasn't breathing, but luckily, one of the store's employees were CPR certified and they revived the baby. I guess Walmart really can help you live better. And finally, in 2011, at a Walmart in South Carolina, customers witnessed a man named Avery Blandon end the life of his wife, Lilia Blandon, while she was working inside the store's bank. Avery stabbed her multiple times, and she sadly passed away on the way to the hospital. He then tried to escape the scene, but he crashed his SUV and was caught by police. But what's weird is that the store stayed open during the investigation, only in Walmart.
Why would that guy need 26 gallons of milk? If you really think about it, probably 20 of those are gonna expire because like milk expires quick. You know what I'm saying? So I think he was just trolling. I mean, he came in with a cow costume, so he was probably obviously just trolling.
You won't be able to stare at this image.
Greatest conspiracy theories of all time, Part 4. The Grinch has a well-known backstory about hating Christmas. However, eventually in the movie, his heart grows 3 sizes and he loves Christmas once again. But this story may continue longer than we think. It is clear that the Grinch isn't exactly right in the head, but during one of the Grinch's wacky stunts, he could have gotten a head injury. This injury would later take a toll on him as he grew old and caused him to lose his memory. After him and his dog died, they were given a new life in a realm called Halloween Town, where they now lived as Jack Skellington and Zero. He later reunites with his love for Christmas, just like he had when he was alive. Both eventually wear a Santa suit, both deliver presents, and both have a dog companion. It may be possible that How the Grinch Stole Christmas and The Nightmare Before Christmas are tied together.
Morbid Facts, Part 545. Last year, Wisconsin elementary school teacher Madison Bergman faced 10 felony charges for having an inappropriate relationship with her 5th grade student. Investigators were shown disturbing screenshots of their text conversations, in which Bergman would talk about how much she enjoyed making out with the young student. The two also exchanged over 100 letters, love notes, and artwork over several months. She was reportedly still graping him up to 3 months before she was supposed to get married to her fiancé. Bergman has pleaded not guilty to all 10 counts. Ohio sex worker Linda Lassess prompted a multi-state public health alert after police discovered she'd slept with more than 200 clients while knowing she was HIV positive. Officers worked hard to contact her clients and suggest getting tested so they could seek the proper treatment. Randy Woodfield was drafted by the NFL to play for the Green Bay Packers in 1974, but was soon cut from the team due to a series of indecent exposure arrests. He would go on to become the I-5 killer and is believed to have been responsible for over 40 murders throughout the early 1980s.
So you like anything creepy, but have you heard of the case of Selene Delgado? There is a television network in Spanish called Canal 5, and they had a segment called Al Servicio a la Comunidad. This segment would come on around midnight, and it would show missing people from the 90s to 2000s. In 2001, a photo of a missing girl named Selene Delgado Lopez, who was 18, showed up on this segment. There wasn't much information about this girl besides her name, age, and location of where she had went missing, which was in Mexico City. Some people found this odd because other people who were listed as missing on this segment had a full bio with greater detail. Viewers started to feel uneasy while watching this segment because as soon as her photo popped up on the screen, the TV channel freezes for a few moments and then this happens.
Selene Delgado López se ignora su paradero desde el 28 de mayo del año 2000.
Creepy, right? Fast forward to 2020 and there was a Facebook page with the name Selene Delgado Lopez. Many users who were familiar with this missing girl started to freak out because they realized that they were already added as her friend and couldn't remember adding her in the first place or even accepting the request. To make matters worse, they didn't even have the option to unfriend her, and many started to think that this Facebook page was haunted by Selene Delgado, while others thought it was just a complete hoax. Let me know what you guys think about this.
Daisy, Daisy, I'm half crazy for the love of you.
If I'm being honest, animatronics don't creep me out that much. I know a lot of people in real life that don't like animatronics, mostly when that Five Nights at Freddy's game came out. But for me personally, it doesn't really like trip me up that much. It's just like...
Here are the strangest things that were found in the middle of nowhere. Back in 2014, two German friends were walking through a forest that they used to play in as kids, when suddenly they noticed two pipes sticking out of the ground. They continued to walk until they stumbled upon a hidden doorway that went underground. They entered the creepy corridors until they stumbled into a room that was flooded and had a weird looking machine. That's when they realized they were in an abandoned control bunker that was used by the Soviets during the Cold War. Next, in 2016, a group was flying in a helicopter over the forests of West Russia, and they spotted another helicopter that was abandoned in a swamp. This turned out to be an Mi-6 model that originated in 1956, and it was the largest and fastest helicopter at the time. It was revealed that the helicopter had been there since 1981, when it traveled from Moscow and it crashed because of engine failure. But thankfully, the crew of it did live to tell the tale. And finally, on Route 90 in Texas, you can find a Prada store that's surrounded by nothing but desert. This was actually art that was made back in 2005 and cost $120,000 to make. Inside the store, there's even real products from their 2005 Prada collection. But unfortunately, the doors aren't real, so you can't actually buy them.
This new true crime docuseries is so creepy and bizarre, and it had me hooked from the moment it started. This is like Unsolved Mysteries meets X-Files, and it might be the greatest thing I've seen all year. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal features 8 true crime stories that have some strange and creepy connection to something paranormal. If you love documentaries, make sure to hit follow because I post daily and you'll never miss out on what to watch. Whether it's someone getting drove to madness from believing in something paranormal like lizard people and committing a horrific crime, or people blaming things like murders on something paranormal like witches. It's fascinating and yet very scary, and I think a part of the reason why it's so scary is because the filmmakers did a really good job of grounding the series in reality. Out There, Crimes of the Paranormal is releasing exclusively on Hulu, so if you want to see this, make sure to head over there and check it out. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments.
People are freaking out realizing what happened on this film. Whatever you do not watch it. There's a lot of disturbing films out there you've probably all heard about. The reason this is so disturbing is because it's real and because of what happened. This movie released in 1980 and was instantly banned in many countries. Essentially found footage. They find this tape which contains all of these videos on it which are messed up. I'm not going to say the name, it will get taken down, but that's it. Shortly after the movie came out, the director was arrested and actually charged. Let me explain. Basically, the movie was so realistic, the scenes in it actually looked like it was real life. Now, I'm not going to talk about the things that happened, but you can probably guess it's pretty brutal. There's lots of things that involve animals, humans, and stuff I can't even talk about. When it came out, many critics and people viewing it thought it was genuinely real. Rogetto Deodato, the director, was arrested and eventually actually charged with murder, saying that he had actually unalived the crew who were the actors in the film. They were able to prove that all of the people who were in the film, the actors, etc., were perfectly fine and he was let off. It was a film, no one was actually unalived. But unfortunately, the things that happened to animals in the film was real, like they were actually extremely harmed during the making of the film. Some problems there, and this has of course caused a lot of controversy over the years. A lot of people still say that this movie is cursed, and if you watch it, you're watching real stuff happen. It's definitely an extremely disturbing watch, so I don't recommend it.
I have real tears in my eyes right now. People always say, like, Appalachia, #1 rule, you don't go out after dark, right? Even I know that. They say you don't look to the woods. That's cardinal rule, right? You don't know what's looking back. Found this video, I'm gonna play it for you. It's not even really a video, it's more of like an audio clip of somebody who was in the woods at night. He recorded, the only way I could describe it was disembodied screaming throughout the forest.
Animals with Down syndrome. Run, run, run. Run, run, run.
Morbid Facts, Part 546. In 1983, Carla Faye Tucker murdered a couple with a pickaxe while attempting to rob them, striking each of them more than 20 times and later saying she felt a sexual thrill with each blow. Tucker was sentenced to death for her crimes, but after converting to Christianity during her time in prison, there was a worldwide campaign to spare her life, even involving Pope John Paul II and the brother of one of her victims. However, Texas Governor George Bush ultimately blocked the appeal, saying, "The gender of the murderer did not make a difference to the victims," and Tucker was executed by lethal injection in 1998. South Carolina woman Mary Wilson was using her blow dryer when she suddenly passed out with her hand on top of it. The dryer continued blowing hot air directly onto her skin for at least 20 minutes, causing third-degree burns all the way to the bone. Wilson was rushed to the hospital, where doctors found nerve damage so severe they had to amputate her entire hand. The yellow outline is the size of SeaWorld's parking lot. The green dot is where orcas will spend their entire lives.
Their intellectually disabled daughter had a baby with her brother, and they were okay with it. In June of 2024, the Oklahoma Department of Human Services contacted the Molden family regarding an 18-year-old disabled girl who had just delivered a baby. The father of the baby couldn't be established because at first she stated that her father was the father of the baby, but that ended up not being true. The girl and her mother, Tamika, claimed that she had a boyfriend and he was the father of the baby, but they were never able to provide a name. Police knew that something wasn't adding up, so they collected a DNA from all the male members of the household. Once testing was done, it was confirmed that the girl's brother, 19-year-old Nathaniel Molden Jr., was the father of the baby. During an interview with police, Nathaniel Jr. had admitted to being intimate with his sister for up to 2 years before the baby was born. He also told investigators that his parents had caught them but never reported it. Nathaniel Jr. is being held in the Oklahoma County Detention Center on 1 count of incest. As for the girl's parents, they were placed in custody on child neglect charges but have posted bail and have been released. As for that girl, the Department of Human Services took custody of her and her newborn.
I wonder how the child came out, because I'm pretty sure they'd be saying that, like, when you have an incestual child, the child has, like, a lot of problems.
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there.
So Amy Slayton from TLC's 1,000 Pound Sisters was just arrested, and the way she was arrested is an actual fever dream. Like, honestly, I feel bad because if this goes the wrong way, she could lose custody of her children. So on Labor Day, Amy Slayton, her boyfriend, and 2 children went to a safari park in Alamo, Tennessee. It's basically like a drive-through zoo where you can feed the animals and pet them if they let you. We don't know exactly how it went down yet, but sources are saying that Amy was bit by one of the camels. I don't know if the injury was so bad that Amy called the police or if it's just the park's policy to call the authorities anytime someone is bit by an animal, but the police were called, and when they approached Amy's car, they immediately smelled some green flower, if you know what I mean. And when the authorities looked inside, they allegedly saw the flower and some special mushrooms in plain sight. Amy and her boyfriend Brian Lavorne faced charges of illegal possession of Schedule 1 and Schedule 6, and because the children were in the car, they also faced 2 counts of child endangerment. We know that the children are safe and staying with Amy's family members. But Tennessee's Child Protective Services are still investigating, so this could end very badly for Amy. And as of now, I'm pretty sure Amy is still in the Crockett County Jail on a $10,000 bond. I am unaware if 1,000 Pound Sisters is even filming right now, but if you are, let me know in the comments.
This is Britney Drexel, and in April 2009, she was on a spring break trip in South Carolina with some friends when she went missing. And since then, there have been no leads in her disappearance and believed homicide. Britney was 18 years old in April 2009, and she wanted to go on a spring break trip to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina with her boyfriend and some of her girlfriends. But when Britney asked her mother if she could go, her mother said no because she didn't know any of the other teenagers going with them and there were no adults accompanying them on the trip. This led to an argument between Britney and her mother that lasted for several days. Eventually, on April 22nd, Britney asked her mother if she could go over to a friend's house for a couple of days to kind of calm down. Her mother agreed and Britney left, but instead of going to a friend's house, she went down to South Carolina. A few days after arriving at Myrtle Beach, Britney called her mother and let her know that she was at the beach, but her mother assumed that she meant a beach trip to the shoreline of Lake Ontario. So her mother, Dawn, was not alarmed at the fact that Britney said she was at the beach and still had no idea she was actually down in South Carolina. That evening, around 8 p.m., Britney left the Bar Harbor Hotel where she was staying with her friends to walk to another hotel to meet up with an old friend that was down there. This was about a 1.5-mile walk from the hotel where Britney was staying with her friends. And security cameras at this other hotel, the Blue Water Resort, show Britney entering and then leaving at 8:45 p.m. After leaving that hotel, Britney was texting her boyfriend, who was actually still back in Rochester, where he had to stay because of work commitments. At 9:15 p.m., the text from Britney suddenly stopped, and her boyfriend became extremely worried. He called their friends down in Myrtle Beach, but nobody knew where Britney was. After that, Britney's boyfriend called her mother, Dawn, to let her know what was going on. The search for Britney began the next day, and in her hotel room, police found the clothes that she had packed, but not her purse or cell phone. This is the area where Britney disappeared from, and they were searching in this area. Police were also able to track her cell phone pings, and they actually led down a path about 50 to 60 miles south of Myrtle Beach. And then the pings suddenly stopped. After that, areas near where the cell phone ping stopped and all around Myrtle Beach were searched. But no sign of Britney was found and police were never able to identify a suspect. And then in June 2016, police announced a new lead in Britney's case, and that's where I'll start with part 2.
The man who killed Britney Drexel in 2009 is now claiming that his longtime girlfriend was involved in the kidnapping, essay, and murder. In a new interview with police, Raymond Moody is claiming that Angel Cooper Voss was involved in the whole thing. On April 25th, 2009, 17-year-old Britney Drexel left the hotel that she was staying at in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where she had been staying with her friends over spring break. She was seen leaving the hotel and walking to another hotel just a short distance away, and then from there she texted her boyfriend to say that she was heading back to her hotel, and that was the last time she was known to be alive. Unfortunately, she was not found at the time and her case quickly went cold. However, in 2016, it was announced that a prison informant had told police that Britney had been abducted and killed. The man accused by the informant denied any knowledge of this alleged crime, but with this, the case was officially classified by the FBI as a homicide. And then finally, in 2022, 13 years after Britney disappeared, an arrest was made. 62-year-old Raymond Moody turned himself in to the Georgetown County Sheriff's Office on the basis of an obstruction of justice charge. Police had first considered Moody a person of interest in Drexel's disappearance as early as 2012, but over the years, they had nothing to definitively connect him. Moody ended up confessing to the crime and even provided the location of potential remains. The FBI excavated the site over the next 3 days, and by mid-May, human remains were located, buried in the woods off a gated private drive outside of Georgetown. And on May 15th, 2022, the remains were identified as Britney's through DNA and dental records. After 13 years, she had finally been found, and her killer had been caught. Moody was subsequently charged with murder, kidnapping, and first-degree criminal misconduct, all alleged to have occurred on the day that Britney disappeared. On October 19th, 2022, Raymond Moody pleaded guilty to all charges and was sentenced to life in prison with an additional 2 consecutive terms of 30 years. But now, according to federal investigators, Moody has told the FBI that his longtime girlfriend, Angel Cooper Voss, was involved in his plot to kidnap, essay, and murder Britney. He reportedly made this confession in a deal to ensure that part of his property remains in a trust for Voss's grandchildren. This interview took place at the Lieber Correctional Institution in Ridgeville in November 2024. In this revelation, Moody claimed that Voss was not only present at the time of Britney's Britney's murder, but was also an integral part of the plot to kidnap and SA her. And with this confession, more details about what happened to Britney have come out. So Moody alleged that Voss helped lure Britney to their vehicle by acting as tourists who were lost and offering her a ride home. He said that Voss held on to the vehicle steering wheel while he restrained Britney and helped lead her to a tent where they had previously set up in the Pollard boat landing in Georgetown, which was nearby their apartment. He alleged that Voss then went to get the keys to their apartment and instructed Moody not to SA Britney until she returned. Moody claimed that he and Voss previously agreed to SA Britney together, with it being Voss's idea the night before to, quote, go hunting for a young woman that they could kidnap and SA. Moody claimed that he didn't recall Voss taking part in the SA, but that she was present in the tent during the attack. He also alleged that Voss wasn't aware of his plan to kill Britney, although she was in the tent during the murder and allegedly didn't attempt to stop him. Moody told investigators that he strangled Britney with a nylon rope before stabbing her heart with an ice pick. He then buried her body alone because he was concerned that Voss was going to tell authorities about the murder. FBI investigators said, quote, Moody emphasized that he is telling the truth, not to be spiteful to Voss, but because he wants to take care of his grandchildren. Angel Cooper Voss was actually arrested last March on 3 counts of making false statements to the FBI, all pertaining to Britney's case, and she pleaded guilty last September to all 3 counts. So she remains in jail, and it is unclear if she will face more charges with these new allegations. I can't imagine what Britney's family is going through after already going through all of this with Moody being arrested so many years later, and then now having to go through this all again with potential charges against Voss. But if Voss was involved, then she deserves to also spend life in prison, and Britney deserves justice. Rest in peace, Britney.
Beverly Hills Sanatorium. This is a place in Kentucky where very few people will still dare to venture. There is a lot of that has to do with just how twisted the history is. One of the darkest stories that ever came out of the sanatorium were the stories of the body chutes. This is very much real, and it was beneath the building. What it was, and as you can see, is it was basically a tunnel system that was constructed at the height of patient death. There were so many patients dying, at least one every single hour, that they had to figure out a way to get rid of all the bodies. In that underground system, they built a 500-foot-long tunnel. That tunnel had a conveyor belt where they were just funneling bodies out of the building. It is truly considered to be one of the most haunted places in the United States, and for sure in Kentucky. Which is why when I go to Kentucky, I always have my Kentucky After Dark passport. This thing is truly something that you can take with you to basically every paranormal haunted stop.
Yo, what the hell is that After Dark passport? You tell me I go to like the haunted asylum I went to the other day, and I'm just like, hey, yo, I got my haunted pass. They're gonna be like, oh, okay, you good, bro,
Here's some of the scariest things that have been caught on camera. Part 5. On the evening of July 21st, 2021, a doorbell camera at a Los Angeles home captured one of the most disturbing scenes I've ever seen. At around 8 p.m., the young woman at the house was preparing dinner while waiting for her husband to return home from work. It was a very hot day, so she decided to open the window and let the evening breeze in. This caught the attention of a man on the sidewalk, and as he looked at the young woman, he decided to try and get a little closer.
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? I just have a couple questions for you.
He continuously repeats the same sentences as he rings the doorbell and knocks on the door, claiming to only have a few questions. The woman never responded to the man and claims she'd never seen him until that point. As he's walking away, her husband comes on the doorbell speaker asking who he is, and that's when he reveals his true intentions.
Are you sure?
Who are you?
Hey, I just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about maybe sure. I want to rape her and kill her because I have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I'm going to knock on her door again.
Thankfully, none of his fantasies played out as he walked away for good. Soon after, he was arrested a few blocks away, and when asked for his name, he claimed to be the Holy Spirit. It was later found that his real name was Christopher Sums, and a background check found that he had an impressive job history and was actually a normal person not too long ago. What caused this rapid change in appearance and personality is unknown, but the footage captured that night will continue to haunt the internet.
On the afternoon of June 4th, 2005, two friends, 22-year-old Henri Murray and 23-year-old Piet van Niekerk, decided to do some spearfishing off of Miller's Point, which is in False Bay, South Africa. The two young men put on their dive equipment. They're not allowed to scuba dive, so just snorkeling equipment. And then they swam out in the water about 200 meters off of shore till they were in about 6 meters depth of water. So maybe just over 20 feet deep of water. At some point, Henri, he spots a fish, he spears it, and then the two men are swimming back up on the surface with their secured fish when all of a sudden, Niekerk hears his friend, Henri, yell out, "Hey, there's a shark, we need to get out of here." Well, Pete, he looks, and sure enough, there is a massive great white shark swimming on the ocean floor right beneath them. So the two men, they begin to swim towards shore, hoping to avoid the shark's attention, but unfortunately they are not able to avoid the shark's attention for long. There are several people watching from the beach at this point. One of them, whose name was Dave, will come into the story here in just a bit, but several people watching from the beach and a jetty, and then you have the two young men swimming in the water trying to escape this shark. Well, the shark breaches the water in between Pete and Henri. It's unclear how far the two men were away from each other, but the shark comes up out of the water right in between them, and then it begins to lunge and bite at Henri. Now, at this point, Henri, he takes his spear gun and he's jabbing at the shark, and he's able to fend it off twice. It comes back twice, biting at him, and he's able to spear this shark. Well, not spear it, but hit it with his spear gun and deter it. Unfortunately, the third time the shark came back, this was not the case. The shark came back from behind him and kind of underneath him and grabbed him by the legs and swallowed him all the way up to his chest. So his arms were pinned inside the shark's mouth as well. So he's almost completely inside of this shark. And the shark lifts him up out of the water as Pete watches in horror, and the people from the beach are watching this too. That guy Dave, who was watching from shore, said that this shark must have been nearly 20 feet long or over 6 meters to be able to swallow this man like that almost completely. So it swallows Henri almost completely, it slams him back down onto the water, and then it just disappears with him in its mouth. Pete obviously can't do anything. He's able to swim back to shore successfully. There are some reports saying that he tried to spear the shark at some point, but this was unsuccessful or did not deter the animal, whether or not that's true. Anyways, he makes it back to shore. They launch several search attempts with police divers and everything. The only thing that they're ever able to find is part of his torn wetsuit and part of his weight belt and I think his snorkel and spear gun. So it's assumed that Henri was swallowed entirely by this shark.
See, Drewski and Odell Beckham Jr. had a problem. If you don't know who they are, Drewski is a comedian. Odell Beckham Jr., football player. Anyway, they were both named in a court document along with Diddy. That's already bad, but well, it gets worse. In the court document, it says that both of them, along with Diddy, did terrible things to a woman at Diddy's house. Now, people are already saying Drewski guilty because he seemed to be associated with Diddy in the past, shooting videos and all that. Odell Beckham Jr. also seen with Diddy in the past. And it's because of this when Diddy got arrested and the whole fiasco happened, while Drewski was on several podcasts, they asked him, "Hey, have you been to a Diddy party?" And in each podcast, Drewski starts laughing. Ha 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 ha. They looking at him like, well. Then Drewski tells them, "But look, I haven't been to one of those Diddy parties." So again, people are saying, oh, Drewski was nervous, definitely guilty. All right, now here's where it starts to get wicked. Some of the allegations in this court document are absolutely insane. Prepare yourself. For instance, one of the lines reads out in reference to Drewski. Instead of immediately doing something terrible to the woman, Drewski douses the woman with more oil, you know, Diddy and his baby oil, and then jumps on her oiled body, treating it like a slip and slide and knocking the wind out of the woman due to his enormous size, due to Drewski's enormous size. Because of some of the wording, people claim that this document is fake. But from what I've researched, this document seemed like a legit document that was filed with the Northern District of California. And maybe, this is a complete guess, the lawyer worded it this way to put you in the situation. You know, Drewski's a comedian. So maybe you could see Drewski like pretend he's on the slip and slide, you know what I'm saying? Now, after Drewski allegedly did his slip and slide thing, he allegedly then did something terrible to her while Diddy watched. Afterwards, Odell Beckham did the same. They leave. Now, I feel like it's also important to tell you what happened directly afterwards. So according to the document, the woman then gets up, goes outside, and she has a confrontation with Diddy. Diddy tells her, yo, keep it down. We know where you live. Some other guy, who we're going to call guy number one, pops up and shows her a picture of her house. Diddy then allegedly says, and I also be getting away with everything, like what happened to Tupac. Allegedly, guy number one, who's showing her the phone, turns around and says, what'd you just say about Tupac? Diddy goes, huh? Allegedly, guy number one pulls out a ting. The woman, the victim of the story, allegedly grabs and a shot was fired. A neighbor pokes his head in and says, what's going on? Guy number one points his ting at the neighbor and says, boy, you better step. Now, I say all this because it's important to note that there are allegedly witnesses. So if this really happened, then they can get some proof. Drewski says, well, that's well and good, but that whole story happened in 2018. He says he was living in his mama's house, he was broke, and he had no connections to the entertainment industry. So basically, Drewski saying never happened. Now, those pictures, those videos I showed you earlier when he was connected and associated with Diddy, 2021. Now, do what you want with that information. But regardless, Odell Beckham says the same thing. He says the whole thing is cap. Now, regardless, people could speculate, people can guess, but not enough information is available. It's just not. But when more information is available, you know, I'm gonna let you know.
That's crazy, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I could believe, you know what I'm saying, the things that Diddy be doing, because, you know what I'm saying, like, he definitely got away with it. Like, I feel like he would be the type of dude to say, like, yeah, I get away with everything. So I wouldn't doubt that, but I don't know, bro. You never really know until you know. I guess, what do they say? Innocent until proven guilty. So you never really know. But what do you think? Do you think that this story that woman is saying is true about what happened at that Diddy mansion that day? It's just so weird to just say the word Diddy nowadays. It just comes with such a funny connotation because of the weirdness that went on at his place. Well, let me know y'all thoughts about that in the comments. Also, remember, my creepy vlog is out. I explored an abandoned insane asylum, which was one of the craziest experiences I've ever done. So if you guys want to see that, I filmed the whole thing. It's like a 50-minute video. It's popping up after this, so make sure to check it out. Catch y'all in the next one.
Thank you all for watching this here video.